What unfolds when a CEO goes incognito and discovers that his own employees won't even provide him with a safety vest? Landon Macmillan stood at the edge of the downtown lot, narrowing his eyes against the soft glow of the morning sun. Orange. Cones lay strewn about like neglected playthings, while the worn chalk lines scarcely delineated the parking spaces. He repositioned the worn baseball cap atop his head and cinched his jacket closer around him. On that day, he stepped into his role as a novice parking attendant. He was more than merely a newcomer. He possessed all 19 parcels similar to this one, distributed among 3 cities. A decade ago, he began with a single worn-out strip behind a bakery and a borrowed broom in hand. Currently, his company caters to thousands of vehicles each week. Recently, grievances began to accumulate. Discourteous personnel, malfunctioning ticket machines, and a customer who reported waiting 20 minutes before anyone arrived. Landon found that troubling. He had yet to encounter the manager at this particular location. The majority of the team consists of recent additions brought on board during the oversight of a district manager. In a company of this magnitude, it was quite common for employees to go without ever encountering the owner. He omitted his name from the documentation and utilized an external HR platform for recruitment. That's how he quietly made his entrance, the newcomer, Lee, who had just moved from another city. At precisely 7:30, a silver SUV skidded into the lot. A man in his 30s with a lean build and sunglasses perched on his face despite the grey sky emerged from the shadows. He failed to greet me with a good morning. "You're the newcomer," he stated without any emotion. "Indeed, Lee," Landon remarked, extending a hand. The man chose not to accept it. "Derek, I hold the position of manager here. Come along with me." They strolled over to a tiny shack at the edge of the lot, scarcely larger than a closet. Within the space lay a folding chair, a vintage radio, and a fan that had seen better days. Landon inquired, "No locker room?" Derek let out a derisive laugh. "What? Do you think this is a place for guests?" Landon managed to put on a smile. "Indeed, what essentials do I require to begin?" Derek handed him a receipt pad and gestured toward a metal cash box. "Record the vehicle's plate number, gather the payment, detach the stub, and place it on the dashboard." Landon's expression darkened. Without a vest, a walkie-talkie, or even a flashlight, Derek gave a slight shake of his head. "We refuse to squander our resources on worthless items." Landon blinked and said, "If you want to see cars, just use your eyes. However, it poses a concern for safety." "Just avoid getting hit," Derek remarked, already turning away. "Arrive at 11 sharp. Punctuality is key." Landon remained frozen in disbelief, without any equipment, training, or even a safety vest. He surveyed his surroundings. Vehicles were beginning to arrive. A woman signaled from her window, seeking assistance. He sprinted forward, skillfully avoiding a backing SUV. "Hey, just find a spot in the row and I'll be with you shortly," he said, catching his breath. Her smile graced the woman's lips. "You were aware you genuinely greeted me." Landon offered a slight nod. "I began this morning." The following 3 hours unfolded in a whirlwind of disorder. The receipt pad ripped far too easily. The ink has run dry. A person attempted to make a payment with a card, but there was no machine available. Landon sprinted down 3 lanes to fetch change from a fellow worker. It was at that moment he encountered Tara. She was stationed at the far end of the lot, expertly managing the flow of cars, directing people with a wave, and handling cash with remarkable efficiency. Her voice was soothing, and she continuously expressed her regrets to the drivers for the delay. "Text, are you all right over there?" she called to him. "I'm giving it my all," he gasped. She approached with a light jog, offering him a spare pen and a roll of coins. "Derek never hands out gear. He told me I had to purchase my own vest if I wanted one," she muttered quietly. Landon gazed intently at her. She nodded in acknowledgement of your purchase of a safety vest. "I grew weary of the constant near misses. I discovered one at a thrift shop for just $6. He gazed at her worn shoes and tattered gloves. "Are breaks a part of your routine?" "Sure, that's true, but we consistently find ourselves lacking enough personnel. I typically handle 2 shifts on most days." Tara shrugged, saying, "If I don't do it, who will? I require the hours." Landon gulped with difficulty. He was torn between the frustration of Derek's refusal to supply even the most basic equipment and the unsettling realization that Tara had come to accept this as the norm. Before he could elaborate further, Derek charged over. "Greetings, small talk isn't our focus here." Tara's cheeks flushed as she realized she wasn't being compensated for flirting. "He simply required a shift, Derek." "I'm indifferent. Return to your part." She departed in silence. Derek shifted his gaze toward Landon. "If you can't maintain the pace, you won't endure. Don't anticipate any freebies here." Landon's smile was restrained. Understood. Yet within, something contorted. He observed Tara as she retrieved a receipt stub that had been swept into the street by the wind. She gestured for a car to enter, then assisted an elderly gentleman in maneuvering his vehicle, ensuring he avoided the curb. She truly deserved more. As the cars continued to arrive, Landon vowed to himself that this secret would not remain concealed. It won't last long. As the first shift drew to a close, Landon felt the sharp throb in his knees from the unforgiving, cracked pavement. Beneath him, his hands bore the marks of countless transactions, darkened from the constant handling of cash, and he had long since lost track of the number of times he had expressed regret to irate drivers insisting on receipts for their taxes. Naturally, there was no printer available, simply duplicates that travel if you pressed too firmly and smudged if you didn't. Derek never came back after he barked at Tara. He had slipped away into the cramped office, the door closed behind him, the blinds tightly drawn. From time to time, Landon noticed him within, reclined in his chair, fixated on his phone. At 11:30, without a word to anyone, Landon slipped behind the booth and unwrapped a granola bar he had stashed in his pocket. He was only partway through when a car veered in awkwardly through the exit lane, honking loudly as it passed. Landon made his way over with a steady jog. A man leaned out the window, his sunglasses perched atop his smooth-shaved head. "Where is the individual with the scanner?" he inquired. "Landon mentioned that we are handling cash and using handwritten slips here." The man scowled. "Are you for real? I park in this spot 2 times each week. They consistently review the application." Landon felt a knot form in his stomach. "We lack scanners here." The man exhaled sharply. "What does it matter? I simply give you the money and trust that you'll recall my order. I'll jot it down and provide you with a note." Text. "This entire arrangement is absurd," the man grumbled, yet he extended his hand toward his wallet. Landon handed him a stub and gestured toward a location. Moments later, Tara reappeared from the distance, clutching a small plastic bag. "I picked up an iced tea for you from the gas station next door," she said, offering it with a smile. "It seems you haven't taken a moment for yourself either," Landon remarked with a blink. "There was no need for you to take that action. I thought it might come in handy for you. You are handling 3 sections by yourself." He received it with a soft expression of gratitude. She nodded, tucking her braid over one shoulder, acknowledging the familiar territory you always explore. "I previously worked at a smaller lot. However, when they shut it down, Derek relocated me here, claiming I would receive more hours." "Really?" Indeed, there was no increase, and he eliminated the weekend bonus. Landon's jaw clenched. Did he ever explain why? "They just mentioned that we fell short of throughput expectations, whatever that entails." A car horn blared from across the lot. Tara spun around swiftly. "That's the 3rd time that individual has double parked. He performs this ritual every Thursday." She took off running once more before Landon had the chance to inquire about her meaning. He observed her as she moved toward the driver, her gestures composed as she indicated the lines, then gracefully stepping aside as the car advanced. She maintained a calm demeanor. She remained unyielding. She managed it with a subtle confidence that highlighted the stark difference left by Derek's absence. Landon dedicated the following hour to managing the flow of vehicles after a delivery van obstructed one of the exits. No one responded to the office intercom. He took it upon himself to relocate the cones, transporting them individually across the lot. His back howled in agony by the time he finished. As he finally rapped on the door of the shack, Derek cracked it open just a sliver. "What do you mean?" Landon maintained a calm and even tone. "A traffic jam has formed near Section C. The ramp was obstructed by a delivery van. I shifted the cones to guide the traffic, but I must revise the signage. Derek refrained from opening the door any wider. Next, compose a note. There are no markers or signs available. Come to a conclusion. Should we not inform the city? Derek exhaled sharply. What do you suppose their plan is to repave the lot? We won't be covering that expense. No payment is required. It poses a significant risk on the road. Derek cast a quick look behind him. Hey, I'm currently occupied with something important. If a situation arises, contact the authorities, otherwise handle it yourself. He closed the door quietly. Landon paused for a brief moment before turning and making his way back into the lot. A woman in a wheelchair was attempting to maneuver over the bumpy curb at the entrance. He hurried over, looking for assistance. She gazed upward, taken aback. I've been searching for a ramp for 5 minutes now. There isn't one, Landon murmured, almost as if he were contemplating the thought alone rather than addressing her. He assisted her in navigating the incline that lay between the sidewalk and the driveway. The slope was excessively steep, and gravel slipped beneath her wheels. She nearly lost her balance. Wait a moment, he said, gripping the handles firmly. Once she found herself on the pavement, she let out a breath. That was absolutely chilling. Apologies escaped his lips. I'll reach out to someone to have that addressed. She let out a soft chuckle. Wishing you all the best. I have parked in this spot for 2 years now. It tends to unfold this way every time. It feels as though my words fall on deaf ears. Landon escorted her to her vehicle. With her heart racing near the booth, Tara distributed slips to a queue of cars, her cheeks rosy from the sun's warmth. She cast a sidelong look, her eyebrows arching in surprise. She was on the verge of tipping, wasn't she? Indeed, Tara's voice lowered. I have been requesting a suitable ramp since my arrival. Derek insists it's beyond the budget, while Landon gazes intently at the slope. This situation is ripe for legal action. Share with me a piece of information that is unfamiliar to me. They collaborated closely for an additional hour. No one arrived to take their place. The sun ascended, casting its relentless warmth over the lot, which became thick with heat and fumes. A driver shouted obscenities at Tara for failing to validate his ticket. She expressed her regrets. He raised his window, his voice still echoing. In the air. Landon positioned himself before her. No one speaks to the staff in that manner, he stated with conviction to the driver. The man wore a deep frown. She failed to fulfill her responsibilities. She fulfilled her duties perfectly. If you have a concern, please address it with management. The vehicle surged forward. Tara gazed at him, taken aback. There was no need for you to take that action. Indeed, I certainly did. Once the hustle subsided, Landon made his way to the distant corner where another attendant perched on a milk crate, gaze lowered. He remained still since the break of dawn. Are you okay? Landon asked. The man raised his gaze gradually. His eyes glimmered with a glassy sheen and beads of sweat trickled down his brow. I'm fine, he murmured. You seem unwell. I was unable to find rest. I wrapped up at the other lot. Last night, Derek informed me that I needed to come in today or risk losing my shift. Landon felt a sudden jolt in his stomach. The man nodded, acknowledging the long hours you put in overnight. There was no respite, he replied with a shake of his head. Landon pivoted in silence and strode back to the shack. He pushed the door open, bypassing the courtesy of a knock. Derek remained seated, now indulging in a meal from a fast food bag. You had someone pull a double shift without any rest. Derek remained completely focused, not bothering to glance up. He consented to it. He is patiently anticipating Tara's arrival to take over. She's already taking on more. Derek shrugged. Do you want this job or not? Landon's voice was icy. I find myself questioning whether anyone would truly desire it. Derek finally raised his gaze. What's your issue, newcomer? Landon advanced with determination. People are out there purchasing their own equipment, enduring unsafe hours, dealing with ADA violations, and you're just here enjoying a milkshake. Derek rose to his feet. You're not in a position to speak to me that way. Landon asserted his experience, stating, I'm not a rookie. I hold ownership. The atmosphere grew still. Derek's eyes fluttered open. Excuse me, I am Landon Macmillan. These parcels, they belong to me and your time here is over. It's not possible. I have just completed that task. Landon pivoted and made his way out into the open air. Tara approached the booth, her eyebrows arched in curiosity. He nodded, signaling that everything was fine, it will be. Landon was quick to act. He emerged from the shack and gestured for Tara to come closer. With a furrowed brow, she drew closer, her hands brushing against her jeans. Could you pick up Marcus from the east side? Have him come here. If there's anyone else who has been putting in continuous effort, please reach out to me. Tara cast him a lingering glance before she nodded and hurried into the shack. Derek walked back and forth, his arms folded across his chest. Do you believe you can simply stroll in here and assert your dominance? Landon maintained a steady tone. I entrusted each manager with complete authority to manage their site with responsibility. You took advantage of that. I maintained the operation of this place. We have consistently met our quota for the past 6 months. What is the price? Landon moved in closer. You have driven individuals beyond acceptable boundaries, overlooked fundamental infrastructure requirements, and fostered an environment where reporting issues is discouraged due to the fear of repercussions. Derek let out a derisive laugh. They manage the parking lot, not perform surgery. They gather payments and direct vehicles in. It's straightforward. Landon's jaw tightened. You have just articulated the most prominent aspect of our enterprise. When they are unhappy, the whole reputation crumbles. Your time here is complete. Submit your keys, please, at this moment. Derek paused for a moment, then forcefully pulled the lanyard from around his neck and flung it onto the desk. You'll come to regret this. But Landon remained silent. As Derek burst through the door, Tara reappeared alongside Marcus, who appeared even more unsteady than he had moments ago. His shirt clung to him, damp with sweat, and his eyes wandered, lacking clarity. He must return home, she stated. Landon nodded in agreement. Marcus, I'll take care of your part. Head directly home. If you require transportation, we will make the necessary arrangements. Marcus parted his lips, ready to contest, yet he offered a subtle nod before pivoting, his legs trailing a bit with every movement. Landon glanced over at Tara. Could you please tell me the location of the employee files? She arched her brows in surprise. Derek always kept everyone at a distance. I thought it best to stay close. I require reliable eyes by my side. They retreated into the shack. Landon pulled open the lower drawer of the desk. Numerous sealed envelopes were tightly packed alongside a few pay stubs. Incident reports were noted by others. He retrieved a pile and laid them out across the desk. Tara bent forward. That dates back to 2 weeks ago. I documented that incident. When someone was sideswiped near the exit, Derek advised me to let it go. Landon absorbed the words in silence. The driver brushed against a cone before lightly touching an employee's arm. There are no medical reports or records submitted to HR. He turned to another page. This is a customer's grievance. A woman reported that her card was charged 2 times. She made 2 calls that day. Derek claimed she was not telling the truth. Landon discovered the slip. There were 2 entries recorded for the same license plate, both occurring within a span of 15 minutes. He placed the stack down carefully. From this moment forward, we will document everything. Each grievance, every wound, every change is promptly relayed to corporate. Tara gave a slight nod. It would be wise to have someone oversee that. I understand. We will arrive at our destination. I need to have a conversation with everyone at this moment. Please assemble the team. She ventured out into the open air. In just a few moments, 4 employees gathered in a casual line next to the booth. Landon emerged, placed the clipboard aside, and met each of their gazes with intent. I am Landon Macmillan. This company is mine. I have been engaged in covert operations. Here for the last 2 days. What I have observed is intolerable. Lack of safety measures, absence of training, and poor communication. That comes to a close today. Silence enveloped the room. Tara has been managing 3 zones. Marcus is on the verge of exhaustion, and none of you possess the necessary resources to perform your tasks safely. I take full responsibility for placing my trust in the wrong individuals. While I may not resolve that instantly, I can certainly begin the process right away. He gestured towards the gravel shoulder adjacent to the entry lane. The curb is set to be lowered. A contractor will be here to evaluate it before the week concludes. In the meantime, we will promote and support anyone seeking assistance. He faced the assembly. Effective immediately, all staff will receive high-visibility vests along with gear and radios. Employees are not permitted to work more than one shift in a single day unless prior approval is obtained. We will conduct a thorough review of any current pay discrepancies. A soft voice emerged. How do we feel about taking breaks? Landon gave a slight nod. We are seeking temporary personnel to address staffing needs. Once coverage is in place, scheduled breaks will be provided at the beginning of each shift. I will be examining each disciplinary note that Derek has issued. If anything appears to be retaliatory, it will be reflected in your record. A young woman with short braids, another attendant, lifted her hand. After I requested Saturday off to spend time with my son, my hours were reduced. Landon locked his gaze with hers. That will not occur once more. Several heads lowered, feeling uneasy. He turned his gaze toward Tara. Your experience in the field is evident. Your consistency, fairness, and composure in challenging situations are commendable. From this moment forward, you will take on the role of site lead. Her eyes grew large with surprise. Are you sure? I require an individual who comprehends the foundational aspects. You certainly do. You will report directly to me or to the new district operations manager once we have appointed someone. After a moment of uncertainty, she gave a slow nod. Okay, I will give it my all. I understand. He faced the group once more. Changes will become apparent in the coming days. Some will be diminutive, some will not. However, if you notice anything that feels unsafe, incorrect, or simply off, don't hesitate to speak up. And if anyone seeks revenge for it, they won't last long. The group acknowledged one another, some with hesitance, others with a clear sense of relief. Later that afternoon, Landon found himself seated in the shack, immersed in the solitude of his thoughts as he penned notes. The sun had moved toward the horizon, stretching elongated shadows over the pavement. He halted at the sound of a knock. Tara lingered in the doorway, clutching a neatly folded piece of paper. This was discovered in Derek's drawer. A woman has lodged a complaint regarding an incident where she slipped near the meter last month. She fractured her wrist. He failed to record it. Landon perused it. Without a signature, there will be no follow-up. I will reach out to her. Tara hesitated, taking a step back yet remaining in place. Are you truly planning to remain engaged after this? I must do this. Systems collapse when you cease to observe. She gave a slight nod. Are you asking me to begin tracking the equipment requirements? Indeed. And the preferences of the staff. If someone requires different hours, I'm interested in understanding the reasoning behind it, rather than just what fits neatly on a spreadsheet. She offered a subtle smile. Adjusting to that will require some time. He rose to his feet and surveyed the interior of the shack. The fan remained non-functional. The radio emitted a soft crackle from its perch in the corner, yet the atmosphere had transformed. The quiet had lost its tension. You've been keeping this place intact with sheer determination and a bit of makeshift ingenuity, he remarked. Now we create something greater. Tara crossed her arms in contemplation. Do you believe the other lots are similar to this one? Landon gazed through the window, observing a customer gesturing to one of the attendants. I hesitate to discover the truth. However, I will proceed to do so. 2 days following Derek's dismissal, Landon arrived back at the downtown lot just after sunrise, dressed in a simple polo and jeans, without any disguise or alias. Tara positioned herself by the entry lane, clipboard clutched in hand, engaging in a soft conversation with one of the newer team members, a teenager named Emil, who had recently transitioned from a quieter site to assist in filling the gaps. She looked up as Landon drew near, yet continued speaking without interruption. It was only after she had completed her task that she made her way toward him. Good morning, she said, her voice steady yet weary. There was one absence and one cancellation. I moved Emil to oversee the West Lane and stepped away from administrative duties. That leaves us lacking in Section C until noon, Landon acknowledged. I will discuss it with him. Maintain your focus on coordination. I'm confident in managing a section, I assure you. However, there is a need for someone to oversee all of this. You're the sole individual present who possesses knowledge of who has undergone what kind of training. She offered the slightest nod before turning back to the shack to revise the coverage board. Landon made his way to the far end of the lot to assist Emile, who was still getting the hang of the pacing and routine. The young one was enthusiastic and courteous to patrons, yet frequently struggled with the receipt pad. Once the morning hustle had subsided, Landon positioned himself next to the booth, observing a woman clad in a city uniform as she circled the area, clipboard in hand. She was affiliated with the city's Accessibility Compliance Office, a person he had specifically asked for after examining the incident report from the previous month. She took precise measurements of the curb height, captured images of the uneven slope, and made careful notes before making her way over to him. "This incline here near the entry," she remarked, gesturing with her pen. "It falls short of ADA grade. A suitable ramp is essential, along with a minimum of 3 feet of clearance in this area." Landon gave a slight nod. A contractor has already been scheduled. Next Tuesday marks the beginning of their journey. Those gravel patches are in need of resurfacing. Unsecured debris has the potential to entangle wheels. He traced her gaze to the lot's shoulder, where tiny stones had shifted away from the edge. "We will take care of it," she hesitated. "Many lots typically don't react this quickly. I've grown accustomed to witnessing these persistent violations linger for years." Landon remained silent. He felt no need to clarify why he stood apart from typical owners. As the afternoon wore on, the temperature rose once more. The absence of shade structures and the limited presence of umbrellas allowed the heat to radiate off the asphalt. Tara distributed water bottles from a company. She paused next to Landon, her gaze sweeping over the flow of vehicles. "There remains no indication of an appropriate place to stop," she remarked. "I have designs from a professional fabrication company. We will set up a modular booth in this location and another one in the north lot across town. Airflow, seating, and storage are all part of the package." Her eyebrows arched subtly. "That will be beneficial. It could be quicker, however." "No," she replied softly, "yet it holds significance." A crimson sedan skidded into the lot, tires howling in protest. The driver, a man in his late 40s, adorned with an expensive watch and a pressed shirt, flung the door open before the car had even come to a complete stop. He advanced menacingly toward Tara. "What happened to the valet service?" He lost his composure. She held her ground. "Unfortunately, we do not provide valet service at this location, sir. We offer self-parking facilities. I have parked in this spot for 6 years. There's always a helping hand ready to park for me. It seems there might be a mix-up regarding the private garage on 4th. "Don't correct me," he snapped, pointing an accusatory finger at her. Landon advanced with purpose. "That will suffice. Raising your voice at the staff is not acceptable." The man pivoted in his direction, a sneer curling on his lips. "Who are you, her partner? I hold ownership. If you persist in addressing her in that manner, you will be requested to depart." The man's expression changed just a bit, yet he stood his ground. "This service is quite disappointing. If you prefer, you may choose to seek services elsewhere." In silence, the man returned to his car, the tires screeching once more as he swiftly exited the lot. Tara let out a slow breath. "That's the 3rd occurrence this week. They claim nothing could be worse than that, Market. I will consult with the legal team. We will install signage regarding our strict policy on conduct." With a single nod, she turned and made her way back to her area. Later that afternoon, Landon assembled the current team by the booth. It wasn't an official gathering, time was short, yet they had to know what came next. "We haven't reached our destination yet," he remarked, "but we've certainly made strides forward. Thanks to Tara, we now have a comprehensive record of each shift, every equipment request and all safety concerns. Beginning next week, we will introduce part-time staff from lower volume lots to assist in stabilizing schedules." A gentle voice emerged from the crowd as one of the attendants, a woman named Grace, raised her hand. "What is the compensation like?" Landon acted without a moment's pause. "A comprehensive review of the site has been approved. Individuals who have experienced underpayment or missed out on raises will receive retroactive adjustments. Beginning with the next cycle, all will receive a foundational increase. You'll find it on your upcoming stub. A whisper rippled through the assembly. A slender figure with a bald head and grease-streaked gloves, Caleb, one of the longest-serving members of the team, voiced his thoughts. "Are you truly undertaking all of this?" He crossed his arms. "What's the reason for this moment?" Landon cast a glance in his direction. "I lost focus, and that will not occur again." Silence filled the room. This wasn't the sort of environment that inspired applause, yet they held themselves with a touch more dignity. That sufficed. The following morning, Landon convened with the district HR lead and an impartial third-party representative to examine Derek's personnel file. A total of 12 complaints were uncovered that had not been escalated, along with 3 exit interviews in which employees reported instances of retaliation or verbal harassment. Every single instance was meticulously recorded and monitored. A reserved individual named Lewis found himself back on the schedule after being unjustly let go for missing a shift because of a family emergency, despite having documentation that was overlooked. Landon reached out to him directly. He expressed that it wasn't merely a welcome back. "An apology is due to you." "Is this from me?" Lewis merely uttered a thank you, though his voice trembled slightly. By the week's conclusion survey, cards had been positioned in each booth, intended not for customers but for the employees. Unidentified submission method. The initial ones approached with care, but soon they grew more daring. 2 fans are required in the north booth. No ventilation, additional radios. We continue to collaborate. Choosing Tara as the site lead was a brilliant decision by the company. Landon absorbed the thoughts of all around him. On that Saturday, a modest box made its way to the lot. Inside were 6 pristine safety vests, each one ready for action. A subsequent box appeared, waterproof clipboards, radios, and gloves. They handed them out personally. Tara strolled forward as the sun sank gracefully behind the skyline. Initially, she remained silent, standing next to Landon as they observed, the cars flowing in and out of the lot, reminiscent of a gentle tide. At last, she remarked that Emil is making progress. He still struggles with handling change, but he's making progress. She cast a sideways glance at him, confident that he would make it. "Are you truly going to continue making appearances?" She nodded, not daily, but frequently enough. "Excellent." They lingered in quietude for a moment more, devoid of blaring horns or raised voices. A gentle wind swept through the lot, rustling dust and discarded candy wrappers by the edge of the curb. "You know," she said, "I received a job offer from a valet company 2 months back. I nearly accepted it for the better pay. What held you back?" She gazed out at the street beyond. A voice within urged me to stay put. I suppose I was curious to find out if any real transformation was possible. He glanced at her, did they? Her expression remained neutral, yet her tone carried a sense of calm assurance. They are beginning. And they were not due to promises or speeches. However, it was due to the fact that someone had finally taken a genuine look at the situation, truly examined it, and chosen not to tolerate it any longer. Never again.